The prevailing notion is that a lack of discipline is a personal failing, a shameful weakness inherent in some but not others. This perspective, however, is fundamentally incorrect. What most are unaware of is that discipline in its conventional sense works against the very programming of the human brain. This is not a figure of speech. It is a neurobiological reality. The brain wasn't shaped by evolution to focus on distant objectives, abstract ambitions, or heroic feats of self-denial. It was molded for a single purpose: immediate survival. Across millennia, humans evolved to save energy, pursue rapid gratification, and shun all non-essential effort. To put it simply, your brain has no desire for you to visit the gym. It prefers you remain on the sofa, as that conserves energy. It doesn't want you to compose an essay or study. It urges you to launch TikTok, where dopamine is delivered more swiftly. This isn't a flaw, it is pure biology. The challenge arises because modern life requires the exact opposite. To succeed, we must be disciplined, productive, and consistent. This generates an internal battle. On one side, you have a brain wired to behave like an idle hunter-gatherer. On the other, a society that expects the performance of a focused, resilient supercomputer. When you attempt to enforce discipline using willpower, you are essentially trying to rewrite millions of years of evolutionary code with a few motivational catchphrases. And the result? It fails. Or at least, it doesn't last. James Clear, the writer of the best-selling Atomic Habits, shared one of the most profound truths about modern human behavior. Genuine discipline isn't born from force. It is born from design. The most consistent individuals, those who appear highly disciplined, aren't necessarily stronger or more driven. They have merely built systems and environments that render the correct actions easy, automatic, and unavoidable. They don't wrestle with their brain, they work with it. Over the next few minutes, we will deconstruct the myth of discipline, uncover the errors you never realized you were making, and assemble a new framework for thought and action. It's a smarter, more humane, and more effective approach. If you've ever felt inadequate for procrastinating, if you've ever berated yourself for failing to follow your own plans, this video is not here to condemn you. It's here to show you that you were simply using the wrong method, and now you will finally learn the right one. The concept of discipline appears straightforward in theory. Desire something intensely, maintain focus, and overcome temptation. Yet, when we examine the actual workings of the human brain, we see that this view is not just oversimplified, but utterly naive. This is because your brain cares little for your long-term aspirations. It is fixated on survival, comfort, and the efficient use of energy. If you fail to grasp this, you will be in constant conflict with yourself. Throughout most of human history, our ancestors inhabited dangerous environments where scarcity was constant, and the sole objective was to survive another day. In that context, the brain adapted to favor immediate gratification. Consuming food now was better than saving it. Resting more was safer than taking risks. Avoiding exertion meant preserving energy for life-or-death situations. The brain was fine-tuned over generations to find the fastest, most satisfying, and least demanding route. And that very software is still operating inside you. When you try to rise early for a workout, your brain registers this as a danger to its comfort and energy stores. When you sit down to study or work, it instantly nudges you to check social media, where the pleasure is immediate, reliable, and guaranteed. Hitting the gym, reading a dense book, or writing a report all require effort without an instant payoff. The brain despises this, and this is the crucial part. Your brain is not rational, it is efficient. It doesn't select what is optimal in the long run, but what demands the least energy in the present moment. This is what neuroscientists term cognitive ease, the brain's default setting to follow the path of least resistance. This selection is not a conscious one. It occurs before you even make a decision. The issue, then, is not an absence of willpower. It is a conflict of design. Your brain wants to survive and feel good right now. You want to evolve and succeed in the future. Until these two objectives are aligned, you will remain frustrated, exhausted, and feeling like a failure. James Clear captures this perfectly. Motivation is overrated. Environment often matters more. Simply put, if you must constantly fall back on willpower, you are fighting your brain's natural architecture. This is a fight you will always lose because eventually fatigue takes over. And when you're tired, your brain switches to autopilot, which invariably selects the easiest option. If you truly seek change, the first step isn't to try harder. It's to understand the hardware you're working with. And now that you know your brain is programmed to undermine any discipline based on force, a new question emerges. What if the issue isn't you, but the environment you inhabit? In the next section, we'll delve into why your environment is the real shaper of your behaviors and how you can mold it to your advantage. If this message is resonating with you, please click the subscribe button and join the channel. Your support is appreciated. Now that we've established that your brain is engineered to follow the easiest route, we must examine the actual arena where this choice is made: your surrounding environment. Many assume that self-control is an internal power, a sort of moral strength that can be built up. But the truth, as James Clear points out, is far less comfortable. Self-control is brittle, and it shatters when confronted with a poorly constructed environment. Consider this. You decide you're going to start exercising. You feel motivated, resolute, and prepared for a new life. But upon waking, your gym clothes are in a heap at the bottom of a drawer. Your running shoes are in your car's trunk. The air is chilly. Meanwhile, the sofa is just a few feet away. Your phone is already in your hand, with Instagram preloaded. The decision is no longer between a good and a bad choice. It is between what is convenient and simple versus what is hidden and difficult. And your brain, as we know, will always opt for what takes less energy. This is the core problem. You are attempting to alter your behavior while living in an environment that fosters the very actions you want to avoid. This brings us to a concept that has revolutionized how countless people view discipline: choice architecture. This idea, highlighted by Clear, demonstrates that human behavior is dictated by what is most immediate, accessible, and visible. It isn't about fortitude. It's about behavioral design. For instance, a study Clear referenced found that simply moving water bottles to the front of a cafeteria cooler, rather than the back, boosted water sales and lowered soda sales, all without a single motivational poster or rule. What was altered? The environment. The healthier choice became the easier one. When the right decision is the path of least resistance, the brain doesn't fight it. It complies. Now think about applying this principle to your life. Want to read more often? Place the book on your pillow, not in a bookshelf. Want to reduce phone distractions? Disable notifications and put the device out of sight. Use apps that block distracting sites. Want to exercise in the morning? Lay out your workout clothes by your bed, setting a trap for your own procrastination. Because ultimately, this is the key insight. Discipline doesn't arise from exertion. It arises from preparation. Disciplined individuals aren't stronger. They are more strategic about arranging their space, their routines, and their cues. They understand that with the right environment, good behavior becomes almost certain. They don't depend on motivation. They build a system where the right action requires less energy than the wrong one. And that is the secret. You must stop depending on self-control and begin architecting your environment like an engineer of your own behavior. An action that demands conscious effort today can become second nature tomorrow if it is properly anchored in your surroundings. But what if we could take this further? What if instead of merely clearing environmental hurdles, you could hijack the very habits your brain already runs on autopilot? That's what we will explore next. We will learn how to use habit stacking to take over existing behavioral patterns and transform them into your greatest allies in discipline. To this point, you've learned two hard truths. Your brain is biologically wired to shirk effort, and your environment influences your behavior far more than your willpower ever will. But even with this knowledge, a critical question remains. How do you actually convert desired habits into automatic actions? How do you bridge the gap from intention to action without depending on motivation, which is notoriously fickle and unreliable? The solution is found in one of James Clear's most effective strategies, habit stacking. The brain functions through habit loops, consisting of a cue, a routine, and a reward. These loops are active within you, often without your awareness. You brush your teeth after waking up. You grab your phone when you sit down. You pour a coffee upon entering the kitchen. These behaviors require zero effort because they are woven into the automatic fabric of your life. Habit stacking offers a simple but ingenious proposal. Rather than forming a new habit from scratch, you link it to a pre-existing one. By doing this, you use a cue already embedded in your brain to install a new, desired behavior with significantly less friction. For instance, after brushing your teeth, an automatic habit, you will meditate for 2 minutes. After making coffee, you will write 1 page in a journal. After leaving your house, you will recite a daily affirmation. This process forges a neural connection. The brain begins to link the new action with the old one automatically. You are essentially hijacking an established routine to build discipline. Why is this so effective? It removes the greatest obstacle: getting started. Beginning a new action demands more cognitive energy than continuing one. Once you are moving, momentum is on your side. Habit stacking generates that initial push. And it is momentum, not willpower, that sustains consistent behavior over time. But there's a catch. This strategy must be applied with care. You can't just attach any habit anywhere. The new behavior should be brief. Start with something under 2 minutes. It must be clear, not ambiguous. Read 1 page, not read more. It must be immediate, following the existing habit without any delay. By adhering to this framework, you are creating mental pathways that make discipline unavoidable. You will no longer need to debate whether you feel like doing it. Your body will just act. And that represents the real triumph. It's when the right action occurs before hesitation, laziness, or rationalization can talk you out of it. And what's even more powerful, these small, almost trivial stacks compound exponentially over time. They evolve into robust routines, and looking back, you'll see you've constructed an entire lifestyle from these interconnected micro-habits. But if this is all so effective, why do so many people still procrastinate, even when they know what to do? The answer is tied to a core principle. Procrastination isn't laziness. It's a design flaw. In the next section, we will deconstruct this common myth and discover why your habits fail, not from a lack of will, but because they violate the 4 invisible laws of behavior change. If what you're learning resonates, you will find immense value in my ebooks. Beyond the Shadow simplifies Carl Jung's key concepts, while Dialogues with the Unconscious provides a 30-day guide to apply them. Both are available via the pinned comment. The term procrastination is heavy with judgment. For many, it's synonymous with failure, weakness, and a lack of drive. It's typical to hear someone declare, "I'm just lazy," or "I can't seem to get my act together." But this entire narrative is flawed, and worse, damaging. According to James Clear, procrastination is not a character defect or a question of laziness. It is a symptom, an unmistakable signal that your environment, habits, and systems are poorly structured. When you procrastinate, it's not because you lack the desire to act. It's because, as your life is currently arranged, acting requires too much friction, is uninviting, and offers no immediate satisfaction. Your brain, as we've discussed, runs on a system of quick rewards, which is why it shuns tasks that feel hard, tedious, lengthy, or lack a clear and immediate benefit. Studying, for instance, is a task that demands focus and energy for an abstract reward. knowledge that will be useful at some later date. Conversely, opening YouTube or Instagram delivers an instant payoff with zero effort and a variety of stimuli. To the brain, the choice is clear. This isn't a moral issue, it's a neurological one. This is where the 4 laws of behavior change become essential. Clear outlines them as the foundation for making any habit sustainable. They are: make it obvious. If the desired habit is out of sight, it will be out of mind. The brain needs consistent visual cues to trigger the action. What is seen is what gets done. Make it attractive. The habit should create a sense of positive anticipation. You can achieve this by pairing it with something you already like, or by making the process itself more enjoyable. Make it easy. The more friction involved, the lower the probability of action. The habit must be simplified to its most basic form until it feels too easy to refuse. Make it satisfying. The behavior must provide a feeling of accomplishment or reward. Without this feedback, the brain won't form a lasting connection to the habit. Let's apply this. Consider someone wanting to build a nightly study habit, but their current setup is as follows. The study materials are at the bottom of a bag. The desk is covered in clutter, and the TV is playing in the background. They also plan to study for a full hour straight, with no system for tracking progress or rewards. The outcome: they browse TikTok, feel guilty, and then repeat the failure the next day. Now let's see how the same habit transforms when the 4 laws are applied. The study materials are already open on the desk. Obvious. They begin with a favorite beverage or some calming music. Attractive. They commit to just 5 minutes to start with a simple objective. Easy. When finished, they check off their progress on a chart and get a small reward, like an episode of a series. Satisfying. Notice the difference? The person didn't change. They learned to design their behavior correctly. They learned that discipline is a fantasy when the system is broken, but a natural outcome when the system is well designed. Procrastination, in this light, is no longer a mystery, but a diagnostic tool. Each time you avoid a task, ask yourself, is this action obvious? Is it appealing? Is it easy to start? And does it offer any reward? If the answer to any of these is no, you have a design issue, not a discipline issue. And the most remarkable part is that as you consistently apply these laws, procrastination fades away with little effort. You don't have to force yourself to act. The action simply happens. The behavior becomes fluid. But perhaps you're thinking, this is logical, but I still dislike these tasks. I still hate waking up early or studying. This leads to a question that will shift your entire viewpoint. What if you didn't need to enjoy discipline to become disciplined? In the next segment, we will shatter the myth that you must love the process to get results. You will learn why the most consistent people are not passionate about their routines. They have simply made the action unavoidable. There's a widespread and rather harmful idea in productivity circles that you must enjoy the process to be disciplined. We've all heard phrases like, fall in love with the routine, enjoy the journey, or do what you love and you'll never work a day. They sound inspiring, but they're not true. Worse, they are discouraging for anyone trying to build momentum from a standstill. The truth is stark but freeing. You don't have to like discipline. You just have to make it inevitable. The most productive individuals don't wake up every single day eager to do what's required. They don't feel a thrill for every task. They don't possess a bottomless well of energy for healthy habits. What they do have is a structure that ensures the right actions occur even when they don't feel like it. And that is a game changer. Let's say you want to form a habit of running each morning. You may have valid reasons, health, appearance, energy, but on 9 out of 10 mornings, you will wake up without any desire to run. Your body will want more sleep. Your mind will conjure excuses. It will be too cold, too hot, or raining. You'll tell yourself today isn't the right day. And with that, the habit dies yet again. Now, picture an alternative scenario. The night before, you lay out your running shoes and clothes right beside your bed. You set your alarm clock across the room, forcing you to get up. You have an upbeat playlist ready to start the moment the alarm is silenced. You have a running buddy expecting you at the corner at 6:30 a.m. You have the route planned and a simple breakfast prepared for your return. In this second case, the act of running hasn't become more pleasurable. It is still hard, but you have minimized the friction and maximized the surrounding structure to such a degree that running becomes the path of least resistance. The choice was made long before the feeling arrived. This is what disciplined people do. They don't wait for desire. They build systems that function even on their worst days. And this leads to a vital realization. Your aim shouldn't be to fall in love with discipline. Your aim should be to make important behaviors so automatic and integrated into your life that doing them requires less energy than not doing them. This is the distinction between living by motivation and living by systems. In the world of motivation, everything hinges on your mood and enthusiasm. In the world of systems, action is the default. It's the only logical outcome. James Clear states this with blunt precision. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. This means your future isn't determined by your aspirations, but by your daily practices. And the more automated these practices are, the less you will rely on motivation, that fleeting resource so many chase. This is why saying, "I don't like routines," or "I hate getting up early," is no longer a valid reason. No one has to love these things. You just need to integrate them so seamlessly into your life that they stop being a choice and start being a part of who you are. And on the topic of identity, there is one final, more profound layer that ties all these concepts together into a single powerful truth. Discipline is not the end goal. It is a reflection of the person you believe yourself to be. In our final section, we will explore how real change occurs not when you force yourself to behave differently, but when you begin to see yourself as a different person, and how that alters everything about how you live, act, and form lasting habits. After all that has been discussed, it is evident that what we label discipline is neither an inborn quality nor a rare talent possessed by a select few. Discipline is actually a byproduct, the natural result of a well-crafted system, a deliberate environment, and a strong sense of self. When these components are aligned, acting with discipline is no longer a daily struggle. It becomes your new default state. But there is an even more fundamental, structural element to grasp. No adjustment to habits, routines, or behaviors will ever be permanent if it is not accompanied by a change in how you perceive yourself. This is the true heart of transformation. James Clear posits that the most profound layer of behavior change is not about what you aim to accomplish, but about who you choose to become. Identity drives habits, and in turn, habits reinforce identity. It is a continuous loop. If you aspire to be a disciplined person, you must begin acting as someone who already believes they are disciplined. Small, seemingly minor daily choices are votes cast in favor of this new identity. Every time you work out when you don't feel like it, every time you opt to read instead of mindlessly scrolling, every time you follow through, even for just 2 minutes, you are sending a message to yourself. I am the type of person who does what they set out to do. This is more potent than any motivational speech, technique, or intricate plan, because you are not merely attempting to behave differently. You are becoming someone different. And when your identity shifts, your behavior follows as a natural extension. Thus, true discipline is not the ultimate prize. It is simply a mirror reflecting a mind that has learned to play the game correctly, a mind that has ceased fighting its own biology and started designing a path of least resistance for the right behaviors. It reflects someone who understands that victory doesn't come from force. It comes from structure. So, if you have listened this far, you are now at a genuine crossroads. You can persist in blaming yourself for not being strong enough, or you can begin today to construct the environment, habits, and identity that make discipline an inevitable outcome. Cease waiting for motivation. Stop chastising yourself for lacking infinite willpower. You do not need to be flawless. You simply need to be consistent enough to allow the system to handle the heavy lifting for you. Now, I have a question for you. What is the first habit you will redesign? Starting now. Share it in the comments below, because the simple act of writing it down is another vote for your new identity. And if this video has shifted your perspective on discipline, be sure to subscribe to the channel, because here we delve deeper than surface-level platitudes.